Is Steph Curry the best point guard ever? Is there a way to end the debate once and for all? Hello again, basketball fans, and welcome back to Hoop Vision. Today, we'll be talking about the topic that got people heated up recently, and it all started on the podcast hosted by Gilbert Arenas. To be honest, this whole situation started when Curry got asked a simple question about being the best point guard ever. Like every confident player, Steph chose himself over anybody else, while maintaining the attitude of respect towards the legends. However, him not denying to be the GOAT point guard steered the TV conversation into a movie-like drama, involving Stephen A. Smith, of course, and all the other experts on the matter. During the live debate, he claimed to have received a text from none other than his Airness, Michael Jordan, who basically said that in order to have a serious debate, we first must define the point guard position, and then do the talking. In addition to that, he reflected on the number of rings both Magic and Curry have, stating that Curry has work to do in order to catch up to the Lakers legend. In case the text message was authentic, we know which side Michael Jordan leans to. The reason it's okay to believe Stephen A. Smith is it would be too much even for him to start a beef with MJ, since he would not let it slide so easily if someone quoted him about something he never said. In all probability, he would take it personally and become the GOAT TV analyst as well. Speaking of analysis, defining the point guard position is indeed a good starting point and a smart take from MJ. For ages, point guard was considered to be someone who primarily runs the offense and helps others score. Before the modern era, which arguably started around the 2000s, point guards were not big scorers and were focused on using pick and roll to create space and opportunities for their shooters and big men. Besides that, the height played a huge role for the position, as they were usually the smallest players in the lineup. Point guards' weapons were speed, agility, and dribbling, which was not something very tall players could boast about until it was the year 1979, and the Lakers just picked a 6'9" Erwin Johnson Jr., who at the time didn't have the Magic nickname, although everything about him was magical. Back in the days, your forward was 6'9", not your point guard. However, denying him the position would be a blasphemy considering the amount of sheer talent and uniqueness the league very much needed. So Magic would start as a point guard, which would go on to revolutionize the game of basketball. The reason all of this is important is because Magic Johnson's impact is present to this day. We've seen LeBron James run the offense like a billion times, and players who are 6'9" and 6'11" playing guards as well. If we were to go back in the past, Giannis or Ben Simmons would not be allowed to touch even the ball in backcourt, and all that changed all thanks to Magic. Now, it's not that we're taking anything away from Curry. He did start a three-point revolution that's considered an era of his own and changed both offensive and defensive schemes throughout the league over the last decade. However, one more argument why Magic's impact might be of a greater significance for basketball in general was that the NBA league back then was not the giant we have today. Around his arrival onto the scene, the NBA was rumored to be headed to bankruptcy, with little hope of increasing its viewership and revenue. It's safe to say that Magic's Showtime Lakers and Larry Bird's Celtics saved the league from shutting down and prevented its existence, allowing Detroit's Bad Boys Pistons and of course MJ's Bulls to launch it to the stardom it never recovered from. All things considered, if it wasn't for Magic Johnson, there might not be anything left for Curry to revolutionize, so it's really hard to compete with that. But going back to our discussion, let's define the point guard position as MJ said we should. According to the Wikipedia, the point guard, or PG, also called the one or the point, is one of the 5 positions in a regulation basketball game. A point guard has perhaps the most specialized role of any position. Point guards are expected to run the team's offense by controlling the ball and making sure that it gets to the right player at the right time. Above all, the point guard must understand and accept their coach's game plan. In this way, the position can be compared to a quarterback in gridiron football. They must also be able to adapt to what the defense is allowing and must control the pace of the game. Alright, the first aspect of this very accurate take is running the team's offense. Both Magic and Curry share an amazing court vision, but in this regard, Magic overshadows Steph's playmaking by far. During his career, he averaged 11.2 assists per game, compared to Steph's 6.5, which is still a record in the NBA. The gap grows even bigger in the playoffs, as Magic was dishing out an unreal 12.3 assists per game, while Curry's assists dropped slightly to 6.2 in the postseason. It's fair to say this ratio is due to Steph taking more shots and being more involved with scoring, but still, 12.3 assists per game is something every coach would be envious. Even in today's era, you would be scared to think what could have been if Magic had something as close to Curry's shooting abilities. That would actually be straight unfair. Speaking of shooting, this is where Curry takes it all. The gap between their field goal percentages actually goes to Magic with 52% compared to Steph's 47.5%. But the three-pointers are what puts Curry into a league of his own, creating the difference of 12.6%, which is enormous on that level. Making 42.8% beyond the arc allows Curry to win the shooting debate over anyone, including legends like Ray Allen and Reggie Miller, let alone Magic, who stands at a humble 30.3%. Offensive stats are quite hard to make a big difference between Magic and Curry since they could destroy the opponent's defense at will, although using different tools. However, the team can get an amazing advantage by having a point guard with strong defensive abilities, and that's where the conversation gets interesting. Back in the old days of the NBA, defense was much different than what we see today. For example, if you had Isaiah Thomas guarding you and trying to stop you from taking the ball to front court, you knew your arms would be covered in bruises after the game. It just was the way it was. There's no doubt Curry would also be successful in that era, but Magic's size and strength allowed him to play defense on all the positions, from guard to center, making the defense debate pretty one-sided. Steph is not a defensive liability in any sense of the word, but there's just too much to live up to when compared to his 6'9" rival. On top of that, Johnson has around 300 steals more than Steph, 150 blocks, and 2,400 rebounds. So we're moving on to our next stage of the argument, centered around the reason basketball is played, the championships. In the achievements column, both men have some outstanding feats. Magic's resume includes 5 NBA championships, 3 finals MVPs, and 3 regular season MVPs. On the other hand, Curry has 4 NBA championships, 1 finals MVP, and was declared to be the most valuable player 2 times after the regular season. Magic takes the edge in terms of rings and finals MVPs, but what also bothers a lot of fans, and isn't talked enough, are Steph's titles won alongside KD. During those back-to-back finals, the Cavaliers were a formidable opponent to the Warriors, and the X factor making the win or lose difference was none other than Kevin Durant. Now, some may say Steph took over in certain games, but it's a valid argument in pointing out that it's much easier cutting through the lines when you have a prime Kevin Durant as a passing option. The reason why this is an important part of the debate is the question whether Curry would have those 2 additional titles. What if things went different and KD never joined the Warriors? Would LeBron have 6 rings now? Would Curry have only 2? That's how much mess KD created with his decision, and why Curry loses the finals debate against Magic. Not just because of the numbers, but the pure individual impact. Just to make things clear, we're not taking away anything from Curry's greatness. He cemented his place in the NBA's history and is a future Hall of Famer for sure. It's just that if you took him out of those 2016 to 2019 Warriors, they'd still be title contenders. So taking the #1 spot amongst the point guards seems overreaching. For now at least. At the end of the day, it looks like Michael Jordan's assessment was right. Curry is very high among the point guards, but not before Magic. Comparing players from different eras might not be the most fair thing to do, but the reason we do it is the same reason we watch basketball in the first place. It's fun, and we get emotionally invested, which will also explain the fighting that's probably about to happen in the comments. Regardless of whose resume looks better, 2 things stand as facts. It was a pleasure to watch Magic Johnson play, and it's a pleasure to watch as Steph Curry prolongs his dance with the Warriors. When greatness happens, all one should do is watch, enjoy, and appreciate it while it's there, because 10 to 20 years from now, players from our generation will be compared to their superstars. That's it for today, dear friends. If you can think of any other way this debate should have gone, make sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. While you're waiting for more NBA news and updates, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time.